Hi, this is Rose from The Perfect Rose, and this is just a special video for some of the clients that I've worked with in this last little bit. First of all, I wanted to apologize if I have not sent you your files. I have to admit that I might have taken on a little bit more or had a lot of stuff thrown at me in a very brief period of time for me to have to handle and process. And I've also been doing some work with the planet itself. So I will let you know a little bit more about that. So on October, well, truthfully, for many years now, probably over 25 years now, I have been working energetically with the planet itself. A lot of us beings that have come to assist during this period of time don't just do it to be a facilitator for others. For me to actually have got to the point where I could hear the angels and things like that, I had to do a lot of personal work on myself. If you knew how many tears I've cried to be able to be a facilitator for you, you would never, like, sometimes that's why I kind of lose patience lately with some of the people after a while. I sit there and talk to them for I don't know how long before they even have a set up, firm up an appointment, and then they question, the odd time, and I go, oh my gosh, like I just at a point where I just don't know if I want to explain this stuff to people like that anymore. I would just prefer to be working with people who know who I am, know what I'm capable of, and know that I'm capable of serving them in some way, shape, or form. Maybe they're not necessarily even sure exactly what that is, but at the same time, they're open enough to be willing to do their part to make my life a little bit easier. Because your psychic ability, I do believe, is something that can be developed, and might not necessarily be meant to be a facilitator for others, but your sixth sense is actually connection with your higher power. So I just want to be clear on that. So I just wanted to share with some of the clients that have come to me recently that and some things that I've learned during this period of time. I was managing a group, and I have learned some different things with that. It was a smaller group, but just really getting more clarity from my guides on how to facilitate, how would be beneficial for others, how I could do that, how I would like to make a contribution for some of the people who are wanting to have children, or the children that are coming on the planet itself, like just helping people to really connect with some of those type of things. But also, like, we're going through some big energetic shifts right now on the planet, and I just thought it would be a good idea to let people know that I did end up doing some work on October 22nd with many of us light workers did some work to bring in more light on the planet. We actually we petitioned for clean water, air, and fertile soil. We also petitioned for a balance for the masculine and feminine energies here, not just the physical energies themselves, but actually for men and women to start being considered more equals. And I find it kind of interesting because one of my favorite books that I've ever dog-eared was Shirley MacLaine's Out on a Limb, and I'm going to probably do a separate video just sharing some of the content on that. So I just wanted to let some of my clients know, and some of the people I've worked with recently, that while I've been doing a lot of this work with others, I've also had my own personal work, because while I've been facilitating for others and moving through some of these pieces, I actually have had to do some of my own work on top of it. And plus, I do take care of animals. I take care of the strays. I've been feeding and caring for strays and other animals for many years now. And a good portion of it, all these years, we're talking like 10, 12 years, long time, I've been paying out of my pocket with the proceeds from this business. Now, obviously, if people just think I'm just supposed to be talking with them, and then where the heck is my income supposed to come from? So I'm trying to just help people to understand that there are only so many hours in a day, and I'm just really at a point right now where I'm trying to fine tune what my work is to make it a little bit easier for people to choose whether they want to work with me or not, and invest in the work that I'm capable of doing with them. Because when people are ready to do work with me, their life can totally take like a higher trajectory, and it's pretty powerful, and it doesn't necessarily have to take as long as I took, because of the fact that there's so many of us on the planet now, and so many of us have done the harder work, and that some had come before us and have done that work and they had a harder time, and we ended up having a bit of a tougher time. So for you guys, it's way easier. But I just thought I'd let you guys know that I apologize that that for some of you, if you really want your files, I will organize them for you. But if you really desperately want them, please let me know, because I haven't been doing it intentionally. I just haven't had a whole lot of myself to give on top of getting ready for winter with my animals, doing some of this energy work. But we are going to be going through some big changes on December 12th. That energy is going to be anchoring, and I just wanted to let people know that it might be a good idea for us to do like a group meditation of some sort, maybe on the 11th. I was thinking if any of you wanted to do some group energy healing work, there will be a fee for that. I haven't gotten clearly exactly how. I just want to see who reaches out and might feel that way I can get you guys clear to be able to handle the higher frequencies that are coming on the planet on the 12th. That are going to be anchored in a little bit more with some of the work that we've done. My intention is for your transitional piece to be much more smooth, even though I've had to work a little bit harder on my journey. But I believe in my heart I agreed to do all that. And the reason why was so that I could relate to people at every different aspect of their journey. But my job is to make it easier for you to process through, easier for you to understand, easier for you to actually do personal work on yourself. My intention at this point in my journey, as I've getting a bit older now, what I mean physically, tangibly, don't necessarily have children, and who am I going to pass some of this knowledge and information on to, but except for you? And I want to teach people how to actually understand when situations come up in their life, what they can do with that energy. Now, what does that mean? So, like, what I mean, I really would like to teach my clients. I teach them as individuals with certain scenarios, but I really want to teach people how to deal. So this, if they're in my reality enough, they would actually learn how to navigate through certain experiences. We're not here to run away from our problems. We're here to start to see how we can resolve some of these issues or find solutions. My job is to help to find solutions to some of the things that are happening and understand on a deeper level what your spirit's trying to tell you when some of those things are orchestrating in your life, because in a lot of cases it is for our good. It's just challenging sometimes to figure out what the heck that is. And that's what I've pretty much had to do with some of the things that have been thrown at me in these past few years. Actually, it's been quite a few years, actually. While I was helping my brother before he passed, some of the way that people treated me when I was getting psychic information while he was alive. My ex, even, before he died, I was getting psychic information. It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone responds well to that. So on top of actually being like doing all this work, being a facilitator for others, some people actually having a misconception of the word psychic or think that whatever because of some societal beliefs about some of the ones that might take advantage of people. you know um you gotta get pretty strong, like strong yet sensitive at the same time, which is kind of like an oxymoron. Like it kind of doesn't really make sense. You got to be sensitive enough to be able to feel other people's pain and get your gifts strong enough to hear the angels. And sometimes when I sit with my clients, I know they've seen it, I cry with them, I feel their pain sometimes more than them. you know and then on top of it, like if I have some of my own stuff being thrown at me too, like there's got to be a little bit of healing downtime happening. And that's, I've been working. I kind of neglected myself for a while there while I was working on some different things, and I just can't anymore. Like I'm trying to just do my best to honor myself, work with my clients. Um, I have way more peace now because I have so much more clarity. But I really would prefer to work with people who know that they'll do whatever they possibly can to help to improve their lives. And it doesn't mean it has to be hard, but I will tell you this: looking at your pain sometimes is a little tough. Like looking at your stuff is tough, but the blessing in all of it is if, after you do that and you know how to make it work and you see how better your life is after, you actually move into a higher potential future for yourself. You actually move into a higher potential future for yourself. I'm going to repeat that. you actually move into a higher potential future for yourself. So what does that mean? I'll give you an example. There's one of the spiritual teachers I studied years ago. He was working with his guides. His guides actually manifested into form, and he had a beautiful story about. Well, it wasn't a beautiful story. He ended up love going to matinee movies. Like we're talking at the theater, and he ended up going to this matinee movie, and he came home, and he said to his guides, "I can't believe I just wasted 2 hours of my life going to that crappy movie." And his guide said, "You can't be serious." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? Like you don't realize everything happens for your good?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "Well, where you're at on your spiritual path and the work that you've been doing, everything is happening for your good." And he's like, "Well, I don't understand." They said, "Listen, before you came to this life, you were supposed to go to a different movie and leave at a different time where you would have wonderful opportunity to grow and learn. But because you learned some of those lessons prior to this, which means he didn't need the bang on the head, his higher self actually kind of collapsed time and moved him into a higher potential future where he would make a different decision and choose a different movie and leave at a different time so that accident never happened." So that is really what this work is. That is really what my work is. So I'm going to try to say to you, that's why sometimes people call me, they say, "Well, I just want to know what my future will be like." I'll be honest with you guys, sometimes first of all, the angels in a lot of cases will probably use the word fine if it would just be me conversing. Fine. Fine doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't always mean everything's fine. It's just their idea of fine. But what I feel my work is I can see that if they keep going that trajectory, it's pretty much going to be the same. Hate to break it to you. In a lot of cases, it'll be the same that it was, as long as you keep thinking the same, doing the same stuff, or whatever. It's going to be pretty much the same. Like, I mean, obviously, some things will be resolved a little bit more if you're in the middle of something. But I guess all I'm trying to say is this. But when I sit with my client, I'm praying about them. I'm asking what do they want in the place of what is, which means they're actually putting a desire out there, a different desire, because in a lot of cases we have a tendency to look at what we don't want. So I have them put that desire out there. Then that it's almost like a prayer. They don't realize that they're putting a prayer out there, say, "I would really prefer this instead." And then while I'm sitting with them, I'm getting how I can help them or assist them. I don't like the word help, to undo some of the stuff that have it go in that trajectory, which would continue probably. And then what happens after we do some of that deeper work or let go of some of the things that have brought them to me in the first place, they move into a higher potential future than they would have moved into if we didn't do that work, if they weren't willing to release something, or if they weren't willing to do whatever it was that we've done or will do, or the angels will help them with after. So it's beautiful work, but it is on some level some type of work. It has you have to have a willingness. I might actually make you write a letter. Like, you don't even always have to give it to me. But what it all does is, see, I see my clients as powerful spiritual beings who are being sent to me in the middle of this soup, okay? In the middle of these things going on in their life, having questions going, "Oh, maybe I could do it myself," then whatever. And I was being sent in with like the big guns, like just trying to assist you energetically and help you to understand that your higher self has orchestrated this for you to learn something. And I think I'm pretty good at discerning on what that is in a lot of cases, because that's my passion. That's what I came to earth to do. That's what I've put my focus in. Just like some people are amazing accountants, I'm pretty darn good at what I do. That's why I do it. Like, and I'm not saying that to brag. I know I don't do it by myself. I'm just getting to the point where I just know that that if you're being sent to me for the work that I do, I really feel that it can benefit you if you let it do that. If you really let that happen and open your mind to the possibility that it can. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what the work is, because we are going through some changes right now. So there's going to be more light coming on the planet, which means more of people's stuff is going to be coming up to the surface. Now we can kind of fight through that and work on trying to clear it on your own, or medicate it, or this and that, or whatever. Or you can finally, clear some of this stuff once and for all. Maybe not totally once, maybe at least on a deeper level, and then maybe eventually you might have to revisit it. But it'll be much easier for you to handle because you'll understand what to do with it when it's happening. And those are the people I'm really wanting to serve, are the ones that know they're intuitive, trying to get a little bit more of a handle on it, wanting to get into the higher frequencies, hearing their angels, not just necessarily, because there are different stages even of that part of your journey. There are going to be stages where you can just start to have, maybe you'll start to have telepathic things, but you're just hearing average people's thoughts. That is not necessarily where you want to get your information from. According to the Abraham Hicks teaching, it says your brain is not a storage cabinet, it is a transmitter and a receiver. So I'm going to teach you something right now. I want you to think of somebody that perhaps you feel like you're having a bit of a problem with. I just want you to focus on that right now. Just if you're driving, obviously don't closing your eyes, but you can stop and come back to this later on. And I want you to just think about them, and it might get worse, because if you have some hard feelings towards them and the whatever, it could progressively get worse. Now, what I want you to do is just breathe out some of those things, and I just want you to imagine a light pour through, and I want you to imagine sending them love if you can. So just send them love, and just see when you decide to, imagine a light pouring through your heart, sending them love. I want you to see if your feeling about them shifts and changes. I bet you 90% of the time it'll be that, unless they've really agreed to trigger you and you haven't dealt with some of those emotions. So if you haven't dealt with some of those emotions, you're going to have to find an healthy outlet for it. Sometimes we have to figure out what it was trying to tell you. Those emotions might not have anything to do with them, but they might have been sent in to bring up some of that stuff too, right? So that's why each situation is so different for each individual person. But I will tell you this, when you send love to them, what you're going to realize, half of the crappy feelings you still have for them are probably not even your own. So I bet you that person is going through a bit of a challenging time. Now think about that. How many people in your life have you felt that way with? And meanwhile, see, this is why I'm not too sure if I always agree with the law of attraction stuff. This is why, because if you watch, I'm not saying that I don't love the law of attraction, and I absolutely love Esther Hicks. I just feel like there's a couple pieces sort of missing. And I think that, I'm sure they're in there. It's just she doesn't really kind of specialize in them. Number one, I do like to still bring in the angels, because in my heart, I believe the angels actually assist in manifestation, and they also assist in the answer of prayer. So they actually help you, when you put a desire out there, they help to orchestrate things, to form. They're actually, job is to protect us if we're, you say, for example, if it's not our time to go, they might have to orchestrate events to prevent that from happening. So they're pretty amazing. And so, a lot of people would call them woo-woo. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, they're pretty amazing. I don't know if I want to leave them out of my work. They're a big piece of my work. I'm an advocate for them. I'm an advocate for the angels. The other light beings are helping us. I'm an advocate for animals, because they cannot necessarily speak for themselves. I'm pretty much an advocate for a whole bunch of characters that might not necessarily be able to be taken seriously by the average person, which would be animals, because they can't speak for themselves, children, which when they're first coming in, they can't speak for themselves, and angels and other light beings that you have to be pretty advanced to get in the habit of actually hearing them. Doesn't mean you can't, get signs, physical, tangible signs, but I know for a fact that I did have to do a lot of deep personal work on myself to hear them, and actually understand what they were trying to convey. Anyway, I know I've gone on for quite some time with this, but I feel it's really important for people to realize that yes, you're moving along on your spiritual journey can be absolutely amazing. You can pull yourself into a totally different reality or future for yourself. But your higher self wants to do it in a way that'll be like gentle and powerful and loving. That would be the way that that's what I wish I wanted to, for my clients and some of the people that work with me. This is what I want them to experience. I want them to experience their gifts coming up to a higher level, their connection with their spirit, like the beings that are assisting them to be stronger, so they really understand how that part is communicating with them. The most important relationship you're going to build in your life is your relationship with this unseen realm and your higher self, God, or whatever you want to call it, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, because that relationship is the only relationship you're going to go through your whole life with till the physical end of it. So that is what my intention is to assist people in strengthening that the relationship and learning how to trust it and what it really is trying to convey when you're interacting with it. So I look forward to serving you when the time is right. And my website is www.theperfectrose.ca. And I also have roseannekulik.com, roseannekulik.com. Anyway, lots of love, and I'll be sharing more soon. Bye for now.